Friends, we are going to discuss today about the most important aspect of financial management. Why the most important aspect of financial management is because whatever we are going to learn or whatever we are going to try to understand in financial management, so to speak, this whole concept, this whole understanding of financial management rests on the concept of time value of money. Whatever you try to understand, like for example, why we are talking about financial management, this whole concept rests on time value of money. Why financial management? What is financial management? How financial management? When to do financial management? Right? This whole theory or whole principle of financial management rests on one the only important concept, that is time value of money. Now, why we are talking about time value of money, or what is its importance, that we'll talk about in the next lecture, where we are going to talk about cash flows, right? There we are going to talk about so when we'll discuss that cash flow, then you will try to understand what is the relevance of time value of money. Now, when we say time value of money is the basic financial concept, basic. Now, don't get confused or don't get overwhelmed by the simple term basic. This is generally what happens with a lot of students. Whenever we say basic, basic does not necessarily mean elementary. We use this term basic whenever nowadays in our daily conversations we say that what's so great about it? It's very basic. So we have this assumption that basic means elementary. But whenever we are talking about any concept part, basic does not mean elementary. In fact, basic means fundamental. This is the true understanding about what we mean by basic. So, time value of money is the fundamental concept in the study of financial management. Now, what does it say? It says money in the present is worth more than the same sum of money to be received in future. Fundamental concept, fundamental theory, fundamental principle to be understood in the whole context of financial management. When we say that money has got time value, now how do you measure money's value? It is always measured in terms of time. Put it simply, the money that you are going to receive in the future is less valuable than the money you have right now. Right? Or in other words, money in the present, right now, This present is in the moment. Is worth more than the same sum of money to be received in future. Supposing you have X amount of money, present times, this X is more valuable than X plus I is equal to X. What is this? This is the additional amount that you will be receiving if you don't want the money right now. Supposing somebody says to you that you have done a day's work and you are supposed to get 1000 rupees as payment that you are going to receive for the work you have done. Now this same 1000 rupees, if you are promised that after 1 year we will be giving you 1100 rupees, this is having more worth than this. Is 1000 rupees in present is greater than that 1100 rupees that you are going to receive in future. Now why? Coming back to the second aspect, that this 1000 rupees has the potential to grow in value over a period of time. How? This 1000 rupees that you receive today, you can invest in those areas where it is possible that it may even also be more than 1100 rupees that has been promised to you by someone else. It has what? It has the potential to grow in value. Now, in the earlier concept, we are talking about money's worth. Here we were talking about money's worth in the first observation. Here you are talking about money's value. Now, many times the most important things that to be taken care of while you are speaking in terms of finance is the words that you use. So many times we use these two words quite interchangeably, worth and value, but that is not so. So before we go ahead with what is worth and what is value, let us try to understand what exactly is time value of money. It's a basic fundamental concept. It says that money in the present is worth more than the same sum of money to be received in future. Why it is more worth? Because money has the potential to grow in value over a given period. The condition that is important here is given period. Say after n number of years. Right? This may be next year, this may be after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, 4, 5, so on and so forth till n years. So money has the potential to grow in value. This is what we are talking about, time value of money. Now, why we are talking about worth and why we are talking about value? Now, when you say money in the present is worth more, that means why it is more? Because the money that you have today has more utility. You can use the money the way you want, where you want, when you want, right? It has more utility. Now, since money that you have in present has more utility, it can also be used for in exchange for a lot of goods and services. So when the money is having utility in terms of exchangeability, that money gives satisfaction. Why do you spend? You know, if you remember the lectures of economics, right? You spend so that your needs, wants, and desires are met. Now, why do you spend is also that you want your needs to be met, wants to be met, and desires to be met, so that what is the ultimate goal of spending? So that you receive satisfaction. That is more important, right? So, money having worth means it has utility, it has exchangeability, that is, you can exchange money for certain goods and services so that you derive satisfaction, and also because it is having more worth because it derives satisfaction from the asset, right? Asset means a thing having economic value. Now, what is value? When you quantify utility, exchangeability, and satisfaction, that is what we call it as value, right? That means worth, when quantified, means if you are able to measure utility in terms of numbers, how much, say for example, you buy a pen, a ball pen. You say that the ball pen is having worth. I can exchange this pen for some other aspect. That means that pen is having worth. It can be exchanged for 5 pencils. Say a 10 rupee ball pen can be exchanged for 5 pencils. That means that pencil's worth is how much? 5 pencils. So the pen's worth is how much? 5 pencils. Now, if you say that since that pen has a worth of 5 pencils means I can write, say for example, 1000 pages by using the 5 pencils. So, hence the 5 pencils have value to the extent of 1000 pages. You are able to quantify that, right? Worth when quantified, worth if it is measurable, worth if it is tangible, that is what we call it as value. Generally, worth is a qualitative aspect, whereas value is quantitative in nature. Worth talks about money in present times. Value talks about money in terms of future times. Okay? So, but unfortunately, we use these two words interchangeably. We sometimes use value in terms of worth and you use worth in terms of value. And what happens during interviews? A simple question is put forward. What is the difference between worth and value? You say they are same and you lose the job. So, what's that? Money today, right? Money present, today means present, has always worth. Has always worth, present. Money later, in terms of future, it has value. Now, these equations that you're seeing right now, these are not in any books. Okay, this is a development from. It's an own development, and it's being shared with you. So try to understand. Nothing is difficult here. It's very simple. Money today is talked in terms of worth. Money Later, it is talked in terms of value. The key words, worth and value. Now, how will the money that is worth today will become money valuable in later? It undergoes through a process. It's undergoing through a process within a certain time framework, right? Now, the journey of money from today to future involves time frame due to its potential to grow. Now, why we are talking about money in terms of today and money in terms of later is only because remember the principle of investment. Money, if it is idle, it loses its value. Now, this simple statement means money, if it is idle, loses its value, means the potential to grow. The potential to grow is decreased. So, always we see that money is always put to productive use. You don't keep the money lying idle. If it is idle, it loses its value. Now, how will the money having worth become valuable later is what are you doing? You invest the money, or you put the money to invest, or you put the money to productive use. Of course, when you invest, you wait for a certain time. And that time gives you returns. Here we are talking about interest. These are the returns. Right? Now, the whole concept of, if I want to put it, time value of money, the whole concept of time value of money, if I want to put it simply, it's what? Incremental gain. Right? Incremental gain means what? Gain which is there, or gains which are being made not in lump sum. It is, to put it correctly, the word here is incremental. That means if you have invested 1000 rupees, say for 1 year time frame, it will give you 1100 rupees. Again, if you are putting 1100 rupees for 1 year, there will be an addition of 1100 plus interest. So what is happening? The money is getting compounded slowly. When money is getting compounded, that means it is gaining incremental gains. Incremental, always rising. Whenever you invest for a certain period of time, your money gains. And the gains are incremental. They are always increasing, not decreasing. So, what are the concepts that are associated with time value of money? The first concept, that is where you might have come across in your school days also, is simple interest. What is it? PO multiplied by I into N, that is principal multiplied by interest rate multiplied by the time frame, the time period that is you're putting your money to be invested. Right? So this is simple interest. Now what is future value? Future value is simple interest, that is principal plus simple interest. This is the formula for simple interest, and this is the formula for future value. How do you calculate? This is a very simple term. You might come across different formulas in all the different textbooks, but basically Fundamentally, for better understanding, future value means what? Present value plus simple interest. This PO may also be called as, in some books, PV. That's present value or original principal, right? So original principal plus simple interest is what we call it as future value. This future value is equal to PV plus I. This also equation you might come across in different textbooks or in different reference materials. Now at time period n, this is future value at this time period n is equal to what? PO plus simple interest again. The same. We are simplifying the equations. Compound interest. What's that? I gave you the earlier example. 1000 rupees invested for 1 year give you a return of 1100. That 1100 is again invested in the next year. Here the money is getting compounded, right? Is equal to what? After 1 year, say Pi into I into n is equal to P2. Fe2 is equal to what? This plus P2. So your money is getting compounded. Now effective rate of interest, EI. Interest credited more than once in a year, that is M times, right? Effective rate of interest. That interest can be credited, say, after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year, right? So when this is credited, how much? 4 times. At the rate what? Say, for example, 2% every quarter. So effectively the rate of interest is what? 4 into 2 is 8%, right? And it is also getting quarterly, so that your money earns compound interest. So that's a strategy, that's a strategy. Whether the interest is being credited after every 3 months or every quarter, that's a strategy. Always remember, this will give you more gains, that interest being credited every quarter rather than interest being credited at the end of the year only once. Here your money is getting compounded 4 times, and there the interest is being calculated once in a year. There's a lot of difference. And when you do like this, when you get the interest every quarter, your money is what? Your money is getting compounded increments, right? It's making compounded gains. That's the beauty of investing money. So generally people, what they do, they invest money for shorter periods, right? To gain more. And there are certain people who invest for longer periods. Of course, everything depends upon the risk appetite of the investors. Now, present value is a current value of future amount. The amount to be invested today is present value at a given rate over a specified period, so as to make it future amount, right? You might be getting confused, like sometimes sir is saying PV, sometimes sir is saying FV, right? Now, if I want to put it in equation, what is present value? Present value is future value minus I, where I is equal to what? Interest that you are going to earn. Or if I want to reverse this equation, it means what? PV plus I, right? So many times, many other faculties or many other teachers or professors, they might always, some people might talk in terms of present value, some might talk in future value. Understand the concept. What is PV? PV is, here we are talked about this, okay? This is PV and this is FV. That's all. So Terminology might be different, but effectively means what? Present value plus interest is future value. Future value minus interest is present value. So which is more? Having more worth, right? Here we are talked about that the money that you have present, right? In present times, that is having more worth, and money that is in future, the terminology that is used is for value. Now, why we are all talking about this time value of money, worth, value, interest, PV, FV is only because to understand cash flows, right? Now, what are cash flows and what is the relevance of time value of money in understanding cash flows, that we'll discuss in the next lecture. That's all for now. Thank you. Take care.